predictability. The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a face of somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look, everywhere you look.
Uncle Gordo! Uncle Gordo!
What's wrong, Gordy? Is everything alright?
I had a bad dream! Why did I have a bad dream, Uncle Gordo?
Well, Gordy, you have to understand how the brain works before you can understand why you had a bad dream. The cerebellum. The cerebellum. The cerebellum is the little brain in the back of your head that controls and regulates muscular activity. The medulla. The medulla is the part of your brain that regulates heart rate, breathing, and blood pressure, as well as reflexes such as vomiting, sneezing, and coughing. The pons. The pons are the part of the brain at the back of the skull in vertebrates. Its function is to coordinate and regulate muscular activity. Reticular formation. The reticular formation is the part of the brain that regulates arousal and to coordinate regulate muscle activity. The brainstem. The brainstem is the oldest part of the brain and is the central cord of the brain beginning where the spinal cord swells as it enters the skull and is responsible for automatic survival functions. The thalamus. The thalamus is the brain's sensory switchboard located at the top of the brainstem. It directs messages to the sensory receiving areas of the cortex and transmits replies to the cerebellum and the medulla. The lateral hypothalamus. The lateral hypothalamus contains the primary nucleus within the hypothalamus that widely projects throughout the nervous system. This system of neurons meditates on an array of cognitive and physical processes such as promoting feeding behavior and arousal, reducing pain perception and regulating body temperature, digestive function, and blood pressure, among many others. The ventromedial hypothalamus. The ventromedial hypothalamus is the nucleus of the hypothalamus. The ventromedial hypothalamus is the distinct morphological nucleus involved in feeding fear and sexual activity. This nuclear region is involved with the recognition of feeling fullness. The amygdala. The amygdala are two lima bean-sized neural clusters that are components of the limbic system and are linked to emotion. The hippocampus. The hippocampus are elongated ridges on the floor of the lateral vertical of the brain, thought to be the center of emotion, memory, and automatic nervous system. The limbic system. The limbic system is a donut-shaped system in the neural structures of the border of the brainstem and the cerebral hemispheres, associated with emotions such as fear and aggression, and drives for food and sex. It includes the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the hypothalamus. The frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is a portion of the cerebral cortex lying just behind the forehead, involved in speaking and muscle movements and in making plans and judgment. The motor cortex. The motor cortex is an area in the rear of the frontal lobe and controls voluntary movements. Broca's area. Broca's area is in a region of the frontal lobe in the dominant hemisphere, usually the left, of the homid brain with functions linked to speech production. An individual with damage to Broca's area would have trouble with speech. The parietal lobe. The parietal lobe is located at the top of your brain behind the frontal lobe. The parietal lobe's main function is the sense of touch. The somatic cortex, the main sensory receptive area for the sense of touch. The occipital lobe. The occipital lobe is the lobe located at the back of your brain behind the parietal lobe. That's main function is for visual purposes. Visual cortex. The visual cortex is located in the occipital lobe of the brain and is used for visual information. Angular gyrus. The angular gyrus is a region of the brain in the parietal lobe that lies near the superior edge of the temporal lobe and immediately posterior to the supramarginal gyrus. It is involved in a number of processes related to language, number processing, spinal cognition, memory retrieval, attention, and theory of mind. The temporal lobe. The temporal lobe is one of four major lobes of the cerebral cortex of the brain. It is located beneath the lateral fissure and both on the cerebral hemispheres and is involved in processing sensory information and derived meanings for visual memories, language comprehension, and emotion association. Auditory cortex. The primary auditory cortex is the part of the temporal lobe that processes auditory information in humans and other vertebrates. It is a part of the auditory system, performing basic and higher functions of hearing. Wernicke's area. Wernicke's area is a region of the brain concerned with comprehension of language, located at the cortex of the dominant temporal lobe. Damage to this area can cause Wernicke's aphasia. Corpus callosum. A broad band of nerve fibers joining the two hemispheres of the brain, sending messages between the two hemispheres. The right hemisphere. The right hemisphere of the brain is the creative brain and is responsible for rhythm, spatial awareness, color, imagination, daydreaming, hostilic awareness, and dimension. It controls the left side of your body. The left hemisphere. The left brain is a logical brain responsible for words, logic, numbers, analysis, lists, linear sequences. It also controls the right side of your body. The pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is a major endocrine gland, a pea-sized body attached to the base of the brain. The pituitary is important in controlling growth and development of functioning and other endocrine glands.
So are you scared anymore?
No, Uncle Gordo.
Alright, have a nice sleep, good.